You're here on Sunday with Reg in the Zoo.
Hey
Welcome
guys,
back. Welcome back.
It's Sunday. Sunday. What's going on?
Not much, dude. Soon to be football Sunday, man.
What's the date
Oh, man. Today's the 16th
of August?
of August.
August 16th.
It's about 1:30 p.m.
We're not wearing
Afternoon.
green hats today.
Yeah, we're definitely going to learn from that one. We made a little... It didn't even cross my mind, dude.
Didn't cross my mind
I
either.
wasn't even thinking about it because I'm like, I don't think it's the same green, but it was literally like the same green as the green screen behind us.
Check out our interview with Eric from Buffalo Go. About after the first 15 seconds, you'll realize what we're talking about. We wore green hats, but it's still a sweet hat, and we recommend you get yourself one. But, yeah, don't ever wear a green hat on a green screen.
We should have known better, too, but...
But win or learn, as Conor McGregor says.
Yeah.
Win or learn.
Totally agree. Wasn't there a fight this weekend?
And the interview is great, by the way. Like, beyond our hats, as soon as you get over that, or if you just listen to it, it's really cool to hear, like, Eric's side of things from starting Buffalo Go.
It was nice to have somebody else on, do a lot of the talking, and hopefully people will be a little more interested in listening what we got to say because we had somebody else on.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience, to
Yeah.
say the least. I think it was good practice for us and for him because I'm sure he's going to be on another one of someone else's probably at some point. And it was good practice for us because we haven't done, an interview, and it's kind of hard to do an interview with two people. Usually there's only just one person interviewing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
no, I mean, you guys.
I think it went all right, though.
You guys had some history, so I was totally happy with letting you guys talk.
Yeah.
The majority of the talking.
I was listening back to it because we try to listen back to ourselves to see what we can do to improve. But we're going to talk a couple different things today. It's just kind of a little chill Sunday, a little Sunday evening. We're going to talk some like Joe Rogan. I actually watched the fights last night. They were okay. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA basketball. The playoffs are going to be coming up, so we're going to do some predictions just on the first round at least. Talk a little discussion on season tickets and like fans in the NFL and how that could be affected. Going to go over a little bit of music. We'll save who we're going to talk about till later, but we'll be chatting a little bit music, what we've been listening to, couple stories. A little bit of Formula One, and then, kind of Whatcha Watching is our little kind of thing of just things around the Matrix that are worth at least watching a first episode or two for you.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of good content out there, so we're just trying to be part of that content and also give you great content to watch.
I love doing the What You Watching because I always like hearing what other people are watching because sometimes it influences me to maybe watch a new show.
Yeah.
So if I can help somebody out with finding something new to watch, that's killer to me, man.
Yeah. I golfed for the first time last week after we met with Eric.
Yeah, the day right after. How did that go for you?
It went okay. I was excited to be out there, definitely. I could definitely see why people get kind of addicted to doing it. I mean, I used my brother's clubs, and they were kind of old. But the one thing I definitely noticed was the ball. Like, if you had a nice ball, that thing would not only roll better, but it would squash better when you made impact, and just felt better when you hit it. My cousin Leonard was there. He was giving a lot of lessons and stuff. I just basically asked him what to do basically every shot.
Yeah.
But I've been watching a lot of guys on Instagram and stuff. I watched John Daly and his son.
Yeah,
his
John Daly.
His son is like a 16-year-old kid, and he's got like just a hammer swing.
Did you ever see the shit that John Daly used to wear back in the day? He was fucking awesome.
He's a killer.
He would like drink all night, come and play the next day.
He's an absolute killer.
Yeah, John Daly was sweet. He was like killing the ball off the drive farther than anybody, and then Tiger Woods came in, and he just fucking destroyed everybody.
Yeah.
And that actually reminds me, if I can go over the Formula One real quick, because that reminds me, I wanted to compare one of the drivers of Tiger Woods. So Sebastian Vettel, he's leaving Ferrari this year. He's kind of getting the cold shoulder from them. They didn't even, negotiate a new contract. But he's he's a 4-time world champion, and he's been in the sport for like 15, maybe 16 years. Well, obviously he's been racing his whole life, but in Formula One. And Do you remember when, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, where Tiger was like winning again, and he was, anytime Tiger's playing and he's doing good, the ratings for golf and like how many people are watching it shoot up. And it's kind of the same with Vettel now. Like, he's kind of the underdog almost because he's getting older, but when he's doing good, you want to watch it.
Right. Kind of like an Earnhardt.
Yeah, at least for the Formula One fans. You know, it's kind of like, Vettel's, just because he's getting the cold shoulder this year.
Is he old?
He's not that old. He's not.
Has he been around?
He's in his 30s. But like I said, he won 4 world champions back-to-back for Red Bull. And then he went to Ferrari. But like I said, they didn't even negotiate contracts. They got a McLaren driver, Carlos Sainz, who's going to Ferrari next year. But and then Daniel Ricciardo, which is like everybody's favorite because he's like the funniest. He's from Australia. He seems like a cool guy. He's going to McLaren this year. And who's coming back? Fernando Alonso. He's the next world champion. Alonso. He's kind of, he was a bad boy for a little bit. But,
bad boy.
He's people's favorite drivers, or one of the people's favorite drivers though. But I'm just getting so sick of the same winners, dude. You know exactly what to expect. Lewis Hamilton's going to finish first. Max Verstappen, or like at least in the top 3, Lewis Hamilton, Bottas, and Verstappen. And it's just like, you don't even care who wins first. You look for like the midfield to see who's doing good in the midfield. Like that's what I watch now.
It's interesting to like think about what it does to ratings. And I can think of other times in sport when that's happened, when the team is just sort of that good that you know that they're going to win, and everybody just kind of loses interest. And some of those people that are like those fringe fans, they won't watch it because they're like, oh yeah, the Patriots are going to win anyway. Or the Cowboys, when we were little, like the Cowboys were really good.
Patriots, the Randy Moss, what a team.
Yeah.
As much as I hate the Patriots, dude, that team was fucking legit.
I mean, that would be the counter, I guess, that like that year, like there's probably people that watched just because they were like, or even the second time when like, it's like, oh, well, the Giants could beat them because they beat them the first time. It's Eli. So it would be interesting. And then basketball, there's been times like Jordan, we were talking about The Last Dance and Rodman and Pippen, that there was something to be said about the ratings then because he kind of reached a pinnacle where people just thought that they were unstoppable and there wasn't any competition. But then there was a couple teams that would step in before he kind of retired that last time. That was, I think, after Jordan, NBA ratings have slowly climbed and gotten better and better, and the game has gotten better and better because
there's more competition.
Yeah, I don't know. He just like raised the bar so much for
all the athletes that are playing now. They all like looked up to him and shit, right?
Yeah, and nobody's really, they say LeBron and Kobe are the closest thing to Jordan, but nobody says like they are better. And it's just interesting that he kind of raised the bar. And there's a lot of guys before him too that were great.
Magic Johnson, they covered that in The Last Dance. Yeah.
Even Magic and Bird, and even like Dr. J and Dominique Wilkins. There's been other like incredible athletes, but like Bill Russell, he was a player coach. Wilt Chamberlain, he scored 100 points and he was like dominant.
He still has the record, right, for most.
He's got the record for most women slept with ever, I think. They say.
And Magic Johnson's the one who got 8, right?
Yeah, and beat it supposedly.
You ever? What is it? I think it's a South Park episode where they find out that he's beating it because he surrounds himself with a ton of money. And money is like what cures AIDS.
Oh my god!
Not like spending it, just having it around you, like a big stack of money or something.
They're so genius. I feel like the government pays Trey Parker and Matt Stone to make stuff.
God. Dude, they're fucking hilarious.
They're like the Simpsons, kind of like they predict the future and they also like control.
Did you ever see that? Did you ever see that movie they did back in the day called Orgasmo?
No, I've never watched it.
That was like one of their first movies. It's like Trey Parker plays like this porn star, but he's a superhero.
Yeah.
Like that's his character. And he's like the first and the biggest like superhero porn star ever or something. I haven't seen it forever.
That's probably what's next.
So I forgot a little. Yeah. I haven't seen it forever, so I can't even give you any quotes.
There'll probably be a porn star sex scene soon. Or porn star superhero sex scene.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
Sex scene,
surprised.
scene.
I wouldn't be
Sex scene,
surprised.
Sex scene, scene. Sounds like a Nine Inch Nails song.
There you go.
Sex scene,
But yeah,
scene.
dude, Last Dance was fucking legit. But
Yeah, speaking of sex scene, Rodman, like,
oh, and I met that story with him and like how Carmen Electra like hid behind the couch and shit when they all came to get him out of the hotel room.
his whole life is just fucking crazy.
Yeah, he's just talking in the documentary. He's like tits and ass and shit.
He put in the work, though.
Dude, he was. I mean, I knew he was good, but like I haven't watched basketball in so long. You know, when I was a kid, like I was telling you before, I used to watch it all the time. But he's fucking awesome, dude. And it's kind of bad to say that he really didn't need practice. I mean, everybody needs it, but he was
did.
good.
He practiced hard, though.
He was good. Like when
he would miss. Yeah, like going back to the Phil Jackson when he kind of just let him go off.
And he like went,
during the finals.
He went to like WCW for a little bit with Hogan and shit. I think Malone actually ended up going there too. They had a match and stuff in WCW.
Yeah, I remember that too.
But,
I mean, fuck. Rodman was just in the finals with Jordan and then in NWO WCW with Hulk Hogan.
I know, dude. How fucking sweet is that?
And then
that was at,
going
like, the
home with
peak of
Carmen
WCW.
Electra.
Dude, she looks smoking hot in that documentary. dude,
Somebody
Last Dance.
said during that doc, somebody made a statement. I don't know if it was Rodman or a couple people, but there was a very light part in there that was like, the first run for the Bulls was like Jordan's like height. And then somebody else was like, but the second one, the second three-peat was Dennis Rodman was the Madonna of the team.
Yeah.
Like he was like what everyone was coming to see. Even though he wasn't doing all the scoring, he was like the attraction, and that sort of shifted the focus off of Jordan and allowed him to just like be a better teammate and like be a sort of a quiet leader.
Yeah. I like how he was he's on the Pistons for a bit, right? And
yeah,
he was like all over Scottie Pippen and shit, like on the court and stuff. So it's kind of cool that got like, you know, they were able to just wipe that slate clean. And then when they're on the same team together, it was like, you know, just playing as a team, like one family. Like that was fucking cool. I love stories like that. You know, used to be enemies, now they're friends and shit, playing for the championship. How many championships did Rodman win with the Bulls?
I think he was there for the second three.
The second three?
I know there was a trade involving Horace Grant for Pippen, I think. And then they got Rodman. I think they might have traded Steve Kerr. I can't remember. But either way, when they were kind of like episode 7 of that series was the height of it for me, and they were talking about Jordan goes into this diatribe at the end of the episode that totally catches you off guard, because you think like, all right, there's 3 more episodes, like it's not going to hit the peak yet, but really if you think about it, it's all right, well that's probably where it's going to like hit the pinnacle.
There's a lot of back and forth in that documentary. I got a little lost sometimes because, you know, they would go to 98, then they'd go back to like 89 or 90 or whatever. I'm like, what's kind of going on? But it flowed good. I understood it for the most part.
It certainly was interesting because it's one season and then his whole career. It's the last season and then they cut up like back to it throughout his career and like what brought him to that point. It's certainly interesting. I feel like they wrapped it up. They could have wrapped it up two episodes earlier, but they always are going to like extend it a little bit to get those ad dollars and keep those viewers. But for me, the pinnacle was like episode 7, and Jordan's going off a little bit about kind of like, you know, you weren't there when I was younger getting my ass kicked by the Pistons. Like you weren't there like when my dad died. Like you weren't there when like this happened, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like just getting real serious. And he says something along the lines of like, if you don't want to play the way I want to play, then just don't play with me. And I was like, whew. Like it was so emotional. And like to hear him be that transparent, like you never really saw him be vulnerable like that.
Yeah, I mean, being who he was, he really couldn't.
Yeah, and it was I don't know. I got that. Like, I feel like it was, like, almost like one of your superheroes, like, taking off his mask and, like, being serious for a second.
Yeah.
Just being like, you can, like, be yourself, and if you're doing what's right to lead by example, like, you can go that extra mile, and if you're doing it the right way, people are just going to follow you, whether there's haters or not. There's always going to be haters. But I took a lot out of that statement as far as sometimes it's like if somebody doesn't want to ride the train that fast, well, then they should probably get off the train.
Yeah. I didn't know his dad died that way.
Yeah, that's was weird.
That's, like, really weird.
Yeah, I remember my dad remembered it vividly. I was completely, I feel like a lot of the young people were definitely dumbfounded by that because they just were like, Space Jam. You know what was really cool? There was like two videos of like Space Jam when he was doing that, filming that. They had a gym set up. Did you see that part?
Not off the top of my head, I can't remember it. I was listening to it more than I was watching it. Well, I shouldn't say that because I watched majority of all of it, but I was listening to it a lot as well while I was doing other shit.
There was they made like a temporary gym for him to ball in while filming, and they had a couple scrimmages where a bunch of NBA guys came, and that was really cool. But there was only like 2 shots of it, like 2 minutes worth of footage, and Bill Simmons was asking this one guy who was a part of it, like, where is all the rest of this footage? There's got to be more footage. And the guy was like, no, there's none. That was all we could find. So it was
Really?
like these like wild, like inter squad, like kind of rec games that were being played. And that's kind of how the bubble is now. They're all staying in the same place. They're playing in a bubble, literally. It's just crazy. There was conspiracists that were talking about Space Jam basically being a prediction of like coronavirus. Like do you remember the part where there's like a politician talking about sealing up the season, and that's because like the players disappear and stuff?
Yeah.
Basically what's going on.
I can see that. And that's crazy too.
It's all Space Jam footage.
I remember when that movie came out.
The Matrix is real.
I remember when that movie came out, I got the big VHS the big VHS. It comes in like a plastic white case for the VHS. I must have watched that like every single day for that summer, I think.
Ironically, I had a audio tape, and Ed O'Neill did the voiceover
Married
narration.
with Children, Ed O'Neill?
Yeah. He did the narration. The
Norway narration.
He did the narration of. He really did though, and it was Ed O'Neill. He did the whole thing.
He's awesome in Blue Chips.
I used to listen to tapes. I had to listen to tapes to fall asleep at night.
Yeah.
Some fucking weird.
No, dude. So for me to like fall asleep at night, I leave the TV on.
Me too.
I turn it down, to
Not
where I
that.
can barely hear it.
Yeah.
Just so there's some noise, and I usually fall asleep to that.
Just so I could have good dreams at night.
Yeah, I've been having some weird dreams lately. I don't know.
Me too.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just
Interplanar, interstellar.
It could be. It's fucking
Interstellar erotica.
Interstellar.
You were telling me about Joe Rogan. What's going on his podcast? Obviously,
So,
he's the god of pod.
He's got the #1 podcast in the world.
The god of pod.
He's doing like these animations. He has somebody animating, parts of his podcast, and he's posting it on his Instagram.
Cartoons.
Yeah, like cartoon based. And they did a fun.
Bloodhounds.
Oh, who's the big one? The big guy that's always on his that big
Will
Italian.
Sasso?
No, the big Italian guy that's always on his podcast.
Joey Diaz.
Yeah, Joey Diaz. Like they did one with him, and he's talking about.
Theo Von was doing those a minute ago.
Well, he's talking about getting like a coronavirus test, and then Joey Diaz is like, "You're gonna find asshole dust up there, cocaine, fucking heroin, like all this shit up in my nose." And like they did an animation of it. It's like the funniest thing.
Yeah.
And then when he says asshole dust, like they show like a cloud of asshole dust. But it's really cool because they're sitting at a table. The cartoon characters look awesome. But, like, that's actually pretty entertaining. Like, I can sit there and watch that. Like,
yeah.
I wish we had the technology and the capability to do something like that in the time. But I think maybe, down the road, future-wise, if we can get into this a little more, maybe we can do something like that here and there.
We did something like that.
For you and Mike, right?
Mike.
I saw that. So it's they're sitting like at angles and stuff. But I think we should do something like that.
It was
at least try to figure something out.
Proof of concept version. But yeah, it's Theo Von was doing some of those. I wonder if it's the same animator that does them.
It's on his Instagram. He gave credit to him. So if you go to Joe Rogan's Instagram page and you just go to like the cartoon post that he does, he's got credit in there to the guy.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's just obviously it's a little clip, but it's definitely worth the watch. But yeah, dude, it's kind of cool that that I watched The Last Dance last week, because I remember you talking about it like and towards the end of last year.
It was during Corona.
Yeah.
It was right during when nothing else was on.
That's right, like towards the start of it. That's right. I remember you talking about it on one of our morning meetings or something.
Yeah, it was one of the only things. Yeah, I probably talked about it on one of our morning remote calls.
So we were kind of talking the NFL a little bit, because that's going to be starting back up next month. Obviously, they're not doing a preseason, but it starts up on September 10th or something, or?
I mean, I'm not totally sure. I know that I'm just kind of crossing my fingers, because I've been watching here and there. I've seen teams are appearing. They're starting to put helmets on. They've got masks on when they don't have helmets on, but when they have helmets on, they don't have masks. I saw this one picture before college football's up in the air too, because that is just a complete like shit show right now, because all the bigger conferences are hemming and hawing but not really saying they're not going to play. First they were kind of saying they were going to play. It's been multiple coaches are saying not to, but like Nick Saban said to, Scott Frost I think said to, and that's sort of a good time to just take a look at that and maybe reframe some of that NCAA stuff. But for the most part, the NFL looks like it's going to be okay. The thing is baseball is sort of doing okay now. It's almost like baseball is almost letting the players just get it.
Yeah.
And the NFL, it's interesting. Some people would say that they don't think it'll pass through because the NFL is going to take precaution or whatever. But if they're traveling and there's 52 guys on a team and number of staff, and it's a lot easier to spread. But again, they're big, tough guys. Probably have decent immune systems.
Yeah, you think so, right?
You think their families are probably who they're caring about. They don't probably want to bring it home, but that's the other side of, even LeBron James was kind of complaining about not having people around and also not having fans around. And I kind of made it a joke about LeBron making that statement being sort of an excuse already, because he knows he's going to get beat, or at least it's going to be a challenge for him to come out of this like really stacked Western Conference playoff system. But he's already sort of said it's not the same, and we've had a hard time locking in. They've lost a couple of guys that didn't come to the bubble, Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo, that are two guards that are good defenders. But they've like kind of struggled a little bit. But dude, Damian Lillard he plays for the Portland Trailblazers, and he's been basically the lightning rod of the last like 4 days.
This is a stupid question. What color are their jerseys?
They're black and red and white.
Okay, because they were talking about him on ESPN today.
Yeah, he's had an absolute...
He's like the fourth best points per game against the Lakers, I thought they were saying. He's
Probably.
He's right behind Jordan.
He's had an extremely historic run. They almost weren't going to make the playoffs. Some analysts were saying that because the bottom 10 teams didn't come, but some analysts were still saying it should only be 16 teams that make it anyways, and they ended up like fighting to get in and then got in, and now they've basically fought their way all the way to the play-in game. They just won the play-in game against the Grizzlies yesterday to get into the playoffs, and they're playing against LeBron in the first round. But a couple of crazy stats. He finished, this is Damian Lillard. They call him Logo Lillard because he'll pull up literally from the tip of the logo after you crossed half court. He finished the season with an NBA record 53. I'm sorry. He finished the season with an NBA record 54 threes from 30 to 40 feet, shooting 43%. 43%, but 54 of them in 66 games from like beyond 30 feet. So that's crazy. It says
crazy.
that for perspective, Stephen Curry has made 61 in his entire 11 years from beyond 30, and he hit 54. So they call him Logo Lillard for that reason. Also, he moved up to 8th all-time 50-point games. He passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He has 11 50-point games in his career. Jordan has 31 at number 2. Wilt Chamberlain has 118. Kobe, 25. James Harden, 23. That's 50-point games in their career. He's already got 11. So he put the entire team on his back. It was pretty incredible. I figured we could just do a quick playoff prediction on the record.
Yeah,
and I'll just run through them, and you can pick one, and I can pick them.
I will try my best.
In the Eastern Conference, we've got the Milwaukee Bucks and the Orlando Magic. That's the 1 versus the 8 seed. The Bucks have Giannis, who's like the biggest, strongest guy in the league right now.
I mean, I want to go with the Magic. They were always one of my favorite teams when I was younger, when they had Shaq and Hardaway.
You're going to take the Magic in an upset.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'm going to go with the Bucks because they're just
I do like
too
the
big
Bucks,
and strong.
I definitely like the Bucks, but I'm just going to pick the Magic.
I like it because I can't stand the Bucks, and I hope that they lose.
Yeah.
Then we have the Raptors, who are coming back off of the championship last year, but without Kawhi Leonard, who's now on the Clippers, versus the Brooklyn Nets, who have Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie. They're not there with Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant, but they have shown that they're tough. I'm going to go with the Raptors.
That's who I would go with, just because I used to like Vince Carter.
Raptors for Matt. And let's be clear, this is going to be fun because it doesn't matter. This is how good the basketball is. It's like anybody can win, I think. And anybody out there, make your predictions in the comments. So then we have the 3-6 is the Celtics versus the 76ers.
I already know who you're picking.
Well, I'm going to pick the Celtics because I'm biased, but it's going to be tough. And the 76ers are sort of that team that underachieves. They have this guy, Joel Embiid, who's like 7'2", 7'1". And he's incredibly talented, but everybody dogs on him because his attitude. And Ben Simmons is like 6'10". He plays point guard. And they have all the talent in the world, but the Celtics are better coached. They've got more depth. I'm going to go Celtics.
I'll go Sixers because of Allen Iverson.
AI. Then the 4-5, which is another basically a coin flip, the Miami Heat, who have a interesting nucleus of like young youth with a couple of shooters, Duncan Robinson, and also Tyler Hero from Kentucky, a couple of young guns, and then they have this Kendrick Nunn, who's a young guard, and then they have this Dragic, who's a point guard who's been around for a while, Jimmy Butler, Jay Crowder. So they've got a weird, tough team, and then they're playing against the Pacers, who have Victor Oladipo back from injury. They have this kid, T.J. Warren, who literally was kind of like a sixth man, didn't really do too much, and he's been like a darling of the bubble. He's averaging like 25 points a game, and he's like this like low key, just hero of the bubble. So you've got Heat, Pacers.
We'll go Pacers.
Pacers for Matt.
Yeah, because I know LeBron played for the Heat. And
that's going to be a crazy series, that 4-5. I believe it's 4-5. Yeah, it's got to be 4-5.
Are they the closest as far as rankings go?
Yeah.
Is there 4-5?
The Pacers, I don't think Arvydas Sabonis' son this Domantas Sabonis. He's a big center. And they have Miles Turner also on the Pacers. It's going to be a war. Just for sake of time, I'm going to take the Heat because I like their young shooters. So then we have the West. So now we're heading over to the West Coast. First one is the 1-8, which we have Damian Lillard's red hot Blazers coming up against the Lakers, who have LeBron James.
Definitely going Trailblazers on that
Davis.
one. Hands down. Because we were already talking about that a little bit.
You're going Blazers.
I'm definitely going Blazers. I love when, obviously you got LeBron, who's been the best for a while. I don't know. Do you still consider him to be, is he still the best player in the world?
He's got to be up there.
But just because of how he's got enough championships, he's got enough records, whatever, I'm definitely going Trailblazers.
I almost don't think the NBA is going to let it happen, but it would be crazy if it happened.
I always consider the Lakers to be like the Yankees.
Carmelo Anthony is playing for the Blazers also.
Really? I definitely know
He
Carmelo
came
Anthony.
back.
That's crazy.
So this is like the fifth or sixth time LeBron and Carmelo have met in the playoffs. Dude, I feel like I've got to go with the Trailblazers. I'm going to do it. I don't think... Here's the thing. The Trailblazers have Hassan Whiteside at center, and they also have this Josef Nurkic, who got hurt last year, and I'm a huge Blazers fan. They also have this Gary Trent, who's come in as a rookie guard, and his father played in the NBA. And the Lakers lost two guards. It's going to be hard for the Trailblazers to come out on top against the Lakers, but hell, we're on Reg in the Zoo right now. We're not on ESPN, so exactly. I'm going to take the Blazers. Then we've got a crazy series. Again, all of these are going to be absolute fire. But the Los Angeles Clippers, so the Clippers have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. They've got Patrick Beverley. They've got Lou Williams. They've got a lot of good scoring, length, defense. They're coached by Doc Rivers, who's a great coach. Going up against the Mavericks, who have two of the best players in the league, Kristaps Porzingis, who used to play for the Knicks, big guy, looks like Ivan Drago kind of, and then they got Luka Doncic, who's this darling, whose dad was a coach over in Europe. He was playing pro at 15. He plays kind of like LeBron, but he's just not as quick. But he had something like 38 points and 19 assists and 12 rebounds recently, or something crazy. Who you got? Clippers, Mavericks?
Clippers. Buffalo Braves.
Matt's going Clippers. I got to go Clippers. Although I would love if the Mavs won, I just think the Clippers are too tough. Next one, we've got the Nuggets versus the Jazz, two teams that I always get mixed up. The Utah Jazz, featuring Mike Conley, who's a longtime point guard lefty. They have Donovan Spider Mitchell, who's incredible talent, number 45, high flyer. They also have Rudy Gobert, who's the guy that rubbed the microphones in the beginning of COVID. The Nuggets have a well-balanced team. They've got Jamal Murray, who's a point guard from Kentucky. They've got Nikola Jokic, who's a huge 7-footer, another center from Europe who has trimmed down on weight, and they're playing a weird style. They also have Manute Bol's son, Bol, who's 7'4" and handles Kevin Durant. He's been a little darling of the bubble also. So Nuggets, Jazz. I think that's the 3-6.
I'm gonna go with the Nuggets.
Nugs of Denver.
Yeah, that's why. I like Colorado.
This is tough. I guess Boran Bogdanovic, I can't remember what's happening with him, but he's not playing. The Nuggets, they've been tough. They've got Torrey Craig. I like him too. He's a Hart guy. I think I got to go Nuggets.
Nuggets.
And then the final one, this is crazy matchup. Rockets, Thunder. Rockets obviously have the beard James Harden. Westbrook is banged up. He's going to be, I think, hurt for a couple games with a quad, but they're still very high flyers. And then the Thunder's that team with Chris Paul, who have his leadership along with a lot of young stars. It's going to be a crazy matchup. He also played for the Rockets like 2 years ago or last year and hurt his quad going in, which is just absolutely crazy because Chris Paul played with the Rockets and like going into Game 7, he like tore his quad muscle and couldn't play.
Yeah.
And they lost to the Warriors recently, 2 years ago or a year ago. So Rockets, Thunder, who you got?
Rockets. I don't like the Jazz.
Well, it's the Thunder. But the Jazz are playing the Nuggets, and you didn't pick them either. You picked the Nuggets in that series.
Yeah.
It's the OKC Thunder versus the Rockets.
That's what it was. I don't know why I was thinking the Jazz.
Well, you've done a great job.
I'm a retard.
You've done a great job. I'm going to go Rockets just because I like James Harden. So there it is. We've got a quick pick on all the first series. Are you okay? Did you have fun?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I was actually looking up one of my old favorite players from back in the day.
Who is it?
I don't know if you're going to make fun of me.
No, I won't.
Steve Nash.
Dude, Nash is absolute awesome, dude.
I like Steve Nash.
I was just listening to, they had an interview with Bill Simmons' head, Raja Bell, who played with Steve Nash on the Suns. And he was telling stories from yesteryear, and it was a great podcast.
Well, he started on the Suns, then went to Dallas, then went back to the Suns, and then finished off on the Lakers.
He played with Steve Nash in Dallas, too.
That's crazy.
He was talking about, when he was in Dallas, he was talking about practicing shooting because it was like Steve Nash, Nick Van Exel, Dirk Nowitzki, and he said he really bought into starting to practice shooting then.
He had a long career. Played like 18 seasons.
Yeah. Nash was even talking, he played with Dwight Howard. It was supposed to be him, Dwight Howard, and Kobe in like his last run, and he got hurt. But he was talking with Bill Simmons and saying like he was watching some film and saying like I should have been shooting more. I was like a 40% 3-point shooter, and I was like passing up shots. Because the game has changed a lot. Now it's like there's not a bad shot. People just fire threes constantly because if you get the miss or the putback, it's almost like a play. Have the hiccups.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, dude, that was cool. I like doing that. Let's stay on top of that then.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. The playoffs are starting this Monday, so it's gonna be going on till like October or so. So we could we'll do a couple little hits and things like that, talk about what's going on as we go along here. But we could do next round, we'll do next predictions.
Yeah, I like that. I'll get this posted before tomorrow then, so our predictions are up there before it starts.